We are live, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time, 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time means it is orange and blue today. I'll turn down this canned rock music. Cecil, Lammey here, set to be joined by Andrew Mason. Of course, he is live at the Super Bowl, so we'll see if Mace can jump on board today. And, well, if not, we've got plenty to talk about with the Denver Broncos, to be sure. As always, they give us plenty to talk about today, and you can keep up with the latest, denversports.com, and, of course, keep up with the latest by signing up for that Denver Sports Daily every single morning, hot and fresh, right to your email. It's the top Denver sports stories. It is the Denver Sports Daily. Mace is here from the Super Bowl. Mace, good day, my friend.
Good day. How are you doing?
Day's still punching, but I'm here, and the Broncos have raised ticket prices. Like, we got Sean Payton talking about Josh Jacobs. Like, we got still a lot to go through here in this, Super Bowl. What are we? Eve of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, because 2 days from now would be Eve. Tomorrow would be Eve. So it's Eve. And yeah, let's talk first about that Sean Payton thing, because I got to tell you something, Cease. That seemed a little like tampering there.
Okay.
I mean, he's still technically under contract with the Raiders. We have not hit the legal tampering period, which, of course, comes 2 days before the start of the new league year in March. When I was hearing that, I'm like, ooh, that's a little tricky there. You know, it sounded a little like he was recruiting Josh Jacobs potentially to come to Denver. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I thought that may have crossed the line.
Right. And for those that don't know, when being interviewed and talking about Josh Jacobs, weren't they on the set together? Is that right? They were on the set together? Yeah.
They were.
And he's like, man, he's been a thorn in our side. Maybe, we need to get him out of the West. Maybe we should take a look at him. So, is that tampering? I don't know. It seems like Sean Payton's having a good time doing his final media tour as a media member.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, that's, teams can get real squirrely about that kind of thing. So that's where I heard it. And I didn't have the excited reaction of a lot of people. I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. And also, we know that the Broncos are going to spend some money. I'm just not sure that running back is the place I'd be spending it.
No. And there's some names out there. I wrote about it in my scouting notebook. Like, I'd love Jamal Williams. He's going to be too expensive. James Robinson, maybe. He'd be cheaper. It doesn't seem like the Jets are going to RFA, put a tender on him as a restricted free agent. So, yeah, but the draft, we saw players at the Senior Bowl that could be the Alvin Kamara to, whatever the Broncos do for their marketing room. It seems like Javonte could be marketing room, hopefully, if he's ever healthy again.
Yeah, it seems like he could, but the thing is, he's got to be healthy. And by the way, on top of everything else, you need a running back for the first few weeks of next year, at least, because I don't expect Javonte to be all the way back by week 1. No. And then, of course, there's a running back who you can probably have relatively cheaply, who we know that Sean Payton likes, and he's on the roster right now, although he is due to become a free agent. That's Latavius Murray as well. So, I mean,
yeah, I don't think Josh Jacobs is the answer for the Broncos. Like, it's nice to think about, but like, it's way too expensive and just not where they should be spending their money.
Yeah, and I think if they do spend money, it's going to be on the O-line. I think they're going to be taking a long, hard look at some of the interior O-linemen in particular. They're going to be available on the market. It's not a deep class, but Sean Payton will build from the inside out. Like, I'm working on a piece for denversports.com detailing just how many centers and guards he's had play at a Pro Bowl level as a head coach. It's massive. And basically it's inside out construction of the offensive line. He puts a greater priority on centers and guards than most coaches do. And so I think that's where he's going to target. I would expect at least one interior O-lineman acquisition, maybe multiple, coming up here in the next couple of months.
Yeah, build in the trenches. And then I know that people have gotten some thoughts about Mike McGlinchey, who says he wants to stay with the 49ers. He also said, I think it was Matt Maiocco who reported, like, he's not going to be an idiot about money. Like, yeah, if he gets paid, he's going to get paid. Right tackle there for the 49ers. They're fine without him. And honestly, his play has been pretty inconsistent as of late. But yeah, Broncos offensive line, I'd much rather spend there than at running back, especially overspending at the running back position.
Yeah, I would too. And I think it's one of those things that sounds good. And like I said, I just hope what he said wasn't perceived as tampering. But there are other and better ways that I think the Broncos can spend what money they have. And they do have the ability to spend money. And I think also we will see some of these salary cap gymnastics for better or for worse that we saw in New Orleans over the last few years. You just hope it doesn't catch up with the Broncos the way it's catching up with the Saints right now.
Yeah, don't want to be in salary cap hell or purgatory or whatever. New Orleans is in hell salary cap wise. So
Yeah,
we shall see about that.
they've got to cut $50 million just to get to cap compliance at the start of the league year before they spend even a dollar. Yeah. And that's and that is then you have to figure out your draft budget on top of that. The Saints are in a mess, and there aren't many easy moves for them to make this coming off season. But here's the thing, and that's why I said acquisitions, not just free agent, because you could look at the Saints trying to make some trades to get out of some of those contracts. Keep your eye on that.
Yeah, and they're allowed to talk to Derek Carr now twice. It's not a Raiders show. It's not silver and black today, but now Derek Carr's met with the Saints twice. And so the Raiders only allowed Carr to talk to people that would reach their demands. Right. So he's talked to one team, and now he's talked to them 2 times, and that's the Saints.
Yep. So that's where it'll get interesting. But that's Derek Carr's their thing. But it's funny how it connects back to the AFC West. But Derek Carr's their thing. Like you said, this isn't silver and black today.
Right. Jose saying Sean playing 3D chess. That's still tampering. Yeah. So he may be playing 3D chess. I think it was just a flippant comment that he should be careful with.
Yeah, he's gonna have to. That's the thing. He's gonna have to.
They shouldn't realistically have interest in Josh Jacobs, and it has nothing to do with him. It has to do with what they need and how expensive that guy's going to be coming off of leading the league in rushing.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. How about your Melvin Gordon piece? You got Justin here in the chat room saying, great article on the Gordon interaction. Maybe I shouldn't have played. You think, Melvin?
Look, I mean, what he was telling me, like, first of all, he and I went back and went through the injury reports. He was on the injury reports in September and October with a neck issue. Basically, it was a nerve issue, which is, kind of part of the neck. And he didn't have feeling in his right arm, and most of his ball carrying done with the right arm. He made it clear to me, didn't want to use it as an excuse. Like, he's like, okay, look, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But if you don't have feeling in your right arm and you're trying to carry the football, that you probably shouldn't be out there unless you're going to carry it with your left arm. And so you look Melvin Gordon's never gotten through a season without a fumble. But even in his other seasons, his fumble rate was about, in recent years, 1 every 68 touches, 1 every 93 touches, reasonable. This year, he's putting the ball on the ground. I think it was 1 every 23 touches, which is unacceptably high.
Yeah.
And I think what we know now is that was the reason for it. The other thing that was interesting about it is he said that it didn't get remedied until after he left the Broncos. He said that he had an injection while he was with the Broncos to try to, get things stimulated. But he said he felt like it might have been in the wrong spot. And that in the week after he left, he got another injection. Turned out that that's what fixed the issue, and Kansas City signed him to their practice squad. So there's that. I've got more coming up from Melvin Gordon as well in a subsequent piece, kind of some things we learned. One of the things that we learned from him, and this is his perspective on it, is we know about what happened in the Chargers game in October, where he was playing early and then didn't play in the second half. The way he described it, the interaction with Tyrone Wheatley, the running backs coach, The way he described it was as Wheatley having a quote temper tantrum unquote with him when he asked why he wasn't going in there. And then, of course, Gordon didn't play the rest of the game. And remember, it was after this that they had a meeting between Melvin Gordon, George Payton, Nathaniel Hackett, cleared things up. And actually, the meeting resulted in Melvin Gordon being the starting running back. Even though Latavius was often getting more touches,
Right.
Melvin Gordon was a starting running back. So it was really some really interesting stuff that came out of that expansive conversation. The funny thing is, Melvin's like, at one point, Melvin's like, I don't want to, rip on the Broncos, but eventually, the thing with Melvin is he is honest almost to a fault.
Yes.
And so when he gets going, he gets going. There, I on a coffee break this morning, because I transcribed the interview. There was one interview there was one question that had a response of 722 words. And I described some of his answers in length as Rosburgian, if that is a thing.
It's pretty good when it becomes a verb, Rosburgian.
Yeah, speaking of Rosburg, by the way, there was something I wanted to bring this up. It's kind of random, but it's really interesting. Fox Sports Greg Allman of Fox Sports has this annual thing that he does where he'll go to the Pro Bowl and do like an anonymous survey, like, okay, who should be MVP, what's the best road trip, what's the worst road trip, yada yada yada. One of the questions that he asks every year is, which coach other than your own would you most like to play for? You know something? There was one vote that he got of the 27 players he asked. There was one vote for Jerry Rosburg.
Nice.
How about that? Even though he was only head coach of 2 games, there's at least one Pro Bowler who said the coach he'd most like to play for, other than his own, is Jerry Rosburg.
Wow. Okay. Good job, Jer Bear. Right?
Yeah.
Impacting young men's lives. So
yes.
There you go.
I'm still hopeful that Sean Payton will see fit to keep him on the staff as a special teams coach, because goodness knows he's as good as there is. We'll see. Money won't be an object there.
Right. Are you ready for more Sean Payton tea, Andrew Mason?
Sean Payton tea?
Yes.
Like iced tea?
Like gossip tea.
Oh,
are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's do some
gossip.
gossip.
A very well-placed person who we both know, and he made this public, so I probably could say his name, but I won't for now. I'll send you the picture. Ran into Sean Payton at the Super Bowl, and he said, he told me, "Let's ride will never be said again." So there's the putting the hammer down on Jake Heaps and all that, and like all that's it's foreign to me, and so it's not going to happen here. Like, and you turn on any sort of sports channel, you know what they're going to be talking about? Sean Payton putting his foot down. So whether or not he was serious about "let's ride" never being said again, there's probably some Broncos fans that'd be okay with that.
Yeah, after last year, it has to be retired. The signs have already come down at the stadium.
Is that like new Coke or Crystal Pepsi? Where it's like they try something and then the brand, they just got to wash it away.
Pretty much. I think so. Like, yeah, it's very much like out of 1984. You have to kind of scrub everything out of existence, right? But like the day after the season, on the digital marquee outside the Broncos, the Pat Bowlen Fieldhouse at Broncos headquarters, very interesting. The "Let's Ride" message that had flashed every few seconds on the rotating marquee, gone. It was gone the day after the season. It was there. It was there on the Friday when we were over there for the last regular season media stuff. But then by Monday, gone. It's gone from the stadium. The only place that I still see it is the only place where I still see it is on some of the email signatures from Broncos employees. You still see it on there. I think it's going to be retired from there.
They just haven't updated that yet.
Yeah, but that is funny. Yeah, like Cecil just sent me the picture.
Yeah, so you probably know who he's with. So
yes,
yeah.
Let's ride will never be said again. Done.
Okay.
Finito. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's ride is always going to be associated with a really bad season. And there's another thing. Okay. They had the Let's Ride flags at every home game. Like when the Broncos came out, you had the flags that spelled out Broncos. They've had that for a while. That's really cool. Spells out team name, right? But then you had the slogan of a player, not team slogan, a player's slogan on two flags. And every time as the season wound down and Russell Wilson couldn't pull himself out of his funk, it was like, why are you doing this? It's embarrassing to still see these flags that say "Let's Ride" when it's the personal slogan of the 28th ranked quarterback in the NFL, right?
Right, right. And it's not a
Yeah.
team slogan. I think maybe there were some misunderstandings about that. And I don't want to make fun of it because I think you might have worked for the team when it was the slogan, but I never understood United in Orange. I never understood. I was like, United in Orange? What? Like,
At least
okay.
two things. Number one, at least that was associated with a successful time. Number two, remember they had just recently gone back to orange as the primary jersey color. Okay. They did that in 2012. And I believe United in Orange was 2013. So,
I believe so as well. Yep.
yeah. I think, and they had they had a bunch of slogans. They had United in Orange and Time to Ride floating around.
I remember that
Because
one. Yeah.
I remember Time to Ride because one of the things I remember about it is at the after party after Super Bowl 48 when the Broncos lost 43-8 to the Seahawks. At the after party, they had on the video screens, and talk about the most depressing party ever, right? An after party when you get blasted in the Super Bowl, the show must go on. But yeah, one of the things that they had on the video screens there at one end of the room said, "Enjoyed the ride," like as in like time to ride. Well, we enjoyed the ride.
Okay.
That
Oh,
and I got it. I got it. But yeah, see, a slogan. Look, if the Broncos had won with Let's Ride would be beloved, right? But they went 5-12. Done. Gone. Forget about it. Anytime you say Let's Ride in Denver, people are gonna snicker.
right. Yeah. And that's how it'll be remembered. So as Jose says, get away from it and get away from everything. By the way, Nate wants to know, you're not in your home studio because you're at the Super Bowl, but do you have a Let's Ride? You have a Let's Ride towel, I think, right?
Towel, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Week
It's
one,
funny.
was they giving out week one?
Week 2, first home game. It's funny
Yeah.
because I got multiple ones. So I have one in Denver and I have one in Wisconsin. The Denver one I did just go ahead and put on in my backdrop. I don't know if we're gonna have the Let's Ride one in the backdrop in the Wisconsin studio space. I think we got to come up with something else. I'm actually looking for kind of knickknacks and things like that. So yeah, as Wes Wallace said, Broncos country, let's cry. Yeah. I want to forget the slogan "Let's Ride" ever happened. See, I'm not gonna burn. Nate Albert says burn it. I'm not gonna burn it. Okay, it's still got some kitsch to it, right? It's a part of Broncos history, whether we like it or not. Okay?
Right. Yeah. It's
You
like
know,
the vertical striped socks. Like
yeah,
okay, it happened, and you wish you could forget about it.
exactly. So,
I happen to collect like weird things. Usually it's players who played for teams that you wouldn't remember. Like for example, I have a Ricky Waters Seahawks jersey. I have, oh boy, let me see. I have a Barry Foster Carolina Panthers jersey.
wow, are you?
Yeah, so I kind of like when you took a player, and Barry Foster was a big deal for like a year with the Steelers. But like I like when you take a player. It'd be like if you had a Tony Dorsett Broncos jersey or something, or Jerry Rice Broncos jersey. I have a friend who has one, an official one, not one that he had made, because they were selling Jerry Rice jerseys for that 3 weeks he was here.
I know.
So yeah, I kind of like that. Where if you're a hardcore fan, you remember and you get that knowing nod, right? The knowing nod when you see another sports fan, another Broncos fan. So if you have a Let's Ride t-shirt, you'll remember the pain.
Yeah, our mutual friend Brandon Cristal has this idea for opening a sports bar, but what you have displayed on the walls are jerseys like that of players in their final stop when it was a team other than the one where they made their name. I think he said call it like last chance or something like that. And so that's you display like the Emmitt Smith Arizona Cardinals jersey,
Ooh, yeah.
right?
Okay, I got it. Brett Favre with the Jets, even though he went on to the Vikings after that. But like, there's been interesting stops for players. Kurt Warner with the Giants, like there's been
But that
interesting
wasn't his
stops.
last stop, though.
Wasn't
That's
his
the
last
thing.
stop, and it wasn't Favre's last stop with the Jets. But there's
You
places.
display a
and
Favre Vikings jersey.
Favre Vikings jersey. Last call. Is this from BK? Right?
Yeah.
Was BK on last call when he had this idea? Sounds like
I don't know that he
media
was.
party.
I don't know that he was, but this is like, this is. I have to give him credit because I think it's actually a brilliant idea, but it's not my idea. But you could just kind of go. I mean, just go down the list. Like, if you really want to go in the Wayback Machine, you'd have to get like a Joe Namath Rams jersey, right? A Johnny Unitas 1973 Chargers jersey. Now that would be the ultimate.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then you'd have like Joe Montana with the Chiefs, even though he had some success there. Ooh, there's a good one, Mike Woodward.
OJ with the Niners.
With the 49ers. That is a very good one. Yes.
Yep.
And if you want to take it to the next level, like you'd have Jerry Rice with the Broncos is on the next level because he never played in the regular season for the Broncos. How about John Lynch Patriots trying to make the team in 08?
Champ Bailey Saints.
Yeah.
Like, we think about stuff like that. Yeah, I do have, and I had to have it custom made because they would never sell it. But I found a blank old 90s Falcons jersey. And so I had an Eric Dickerson Falcons jersey made because he played in 3 games and then had his neck injury, never played again. I think that was 94, 93, 93 maybe. Yeah, because he was at the Raiders in 92.
You know what regret I have?
Before
the NFL shut it down, I should have had a bunch of Falcons Ron Mexico number 7 jerseys made.
Yeah, I have to get those custom made now. But so
yes.
There you go. We got
people were putting them in and getting them made.
Yeah, they were before they shut that down. There was an Orlando Franklin Saints jersey on eBay. He told me it was fake because whoever was selling it said it was game used, and Orlando's like, I never played. Like, I was there, and some equipment guy maybe. It looked like a real jersey. I usually can spot fake jerseys. It's kind of one of my unusual skill sets, and I get mad when I see the Terrell Davis 75th anniversary jersey because I was like, that's 1994.
I know.
He was a senior at Georgia.
Anachronism. I get it. I get that completely. It bothers me as well. This wasn't the last stop, but I think one that was the ultimate. And there's a Broncos story involved with it. I started working for the team in 2002. At the time, digital media was under the marketing department. So there was a marketing department Christmas party, and it was a white elephant gift party. All right. And one person had gone to the equipment room and got what I considered to be the greatest white elephant gift I've ever heard of. And it was an Eddie Kennison jersey. But it was to be worn on Thanksgiving 2001. The Broncos went down to Dallas on Thanksgiving 2001, and they wore their classic orange jersey, lighter, Academy blue helmet with a D on it. But Eddie Kennison had quit by then, and he'd moved on and he'd gone to the Chiefs. So there was this jersey made for him that was never worn. And so I was hoping like heck. That's the only white elephant gift I would have possibly wanted, but somebody else got it. Curses. Because man, I would have probably framed that thing just for comic value. I mean,
that would be it. Eddie Kinnison's not a name you bring up to the certain generation of Broncos that will be responded in kind.
Right.
Like,
Eddie
Eddie did not do so very good. Dick Vermeil embraced him though in Kansas City. So
they were taking in everybody at that point. And I think Kennison played like 5 years for him. That was the thing, and that was what made it worse. He went to Kansas City. He was actually pretty good.
Right.
He was actually a productive player for them. And it's like, well, why couldn't you have your head screwed on straight in Denver? But Vermeil had a different style as a head coach than Mike Shanahan did.
A little more tender, I would say.
Remember, Dick Vermeil was the guy who gave Lawrence Phillips another chance.
Mm-hmm.
and then finally bridged too far. Finally let him go. Ooh, good one, Tom. Jamal Charles Broncos jersey.
Yep.
Yes, there's one. There's one. Actually, I was thinking to myself, maybe I should get a Melvin Gordon Chiefs jersey.
Oh, people would be so mad at you, Mace. They're already mad that you like Melvin Gordon. Don't want to
I
make
know.
them more mad, do you?
That'd be fun. I mean, who knows? Atwater Jets, says Nate Albert. Yeah,
That
that's a
makes
good
me
one.
sad.
I've seen a few of those floating out there too.
Yes, they are out there, but that whole year made me sad. I was like, I don't want to see Steve Atwater in a Jets jersey. It's wrong.
It's wrong, but at the same time, because of that, Bill Belichick will wax poetic if you ever ask him about Steve Atwater. Actually, like a true story, I was walking with Steve once between corridors at the combine one year, and Bill Belichick's on his phone. There's very little that can make Bill Belichick stop when he's on his phone trying to do some business. Steve Atwater is one person that made Bill Belichick stop, say hello. There's and
Wow.
if you ask Bill about Steve, he will wax rhapsodic about Steve's place in the evolution of safety and how much he loved coaching him. So, that's a cool little thing, and I always joked with Steve that if there's an East Coast bias, it was necessary for him to play a year in New York. But he hates that. Like he wants to deny he ever played for the Jets.
Right. And he's the nicest guy ever. So
Right.
there you go.
He is. He is. But
Speaking
you
of
know
the
what?
combine,
It's on his little Hall of Fame inscription. There it is.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Jets 1999.
It was
Yeah.
there. Tim Brown was with the Bucks.
Yes, briefly.
Okay.
Bucks in the John Gruden era, the Bucks had a habit of bringing in a lot of those guys for one last ride, as it were. I mean, they had Brian Greasy for I think a couple of stints, if I'm not mistaken. They had Jeff Garcia. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a Buck. Yeah, they went through John Gruden was kind of like Mike Shanahan. There wasn't a veteran player that he wouldn't try to wring one last drop out of. Remember Mike Shanahan? Luther Ellis tried to get something out of him. Garrison Hurst, remember?
Of
He was a
course.
Bronco
Yeah.
in 04. I mean, Andre Reed was a Bronco in camp. They had Rob Moore in one training camp. Remember Robert Brooks, former Packer receiver? He was there.
Yep.
It was, I mean, every year with Mike and with John Gruden down in Tampa, there were all these old pros trying to get one last drop out of every year.
Final thing, Mace, and we'll let you out of here for today. Did you see DeMaurice Smith wants to eliminate the combine? I was like,
yes.
Okay, D. Like, some of the stuff you say isn't untrue, but I'm like, there's sometimes you got to pick your battles. And when DeMaurice Smith is like, we should eliminate the combine, I'm like, that's not going to happen. Like, you can dream about it and maybe update it or whatever, but like every sport has a combine. The NFL is going to have a combine.
Here's the deal on that. Do you want each player getting their height and weight taken 32 times by 32 teams, or would you rather do it once? Right. One of the reasons why the combine exists is for standardization. So a player has to go through certain things once. Now, probably where it crosses the line is doing the medicals for every team. And that's something that I think if they want to really streamline the process, the medical should happen once. Okay. They should combine that instead of a player going through the medical exam with the Broncos and then doing it with the Raiders and then doing it with the Titans and on down the line.
Potentially all 32 teams could poke and prod and twist and turn whatever.
They should standardize that part of it. Just like height, weight, arm length, hand size, all that is standardized. And then the other thing I'd go to this length as well. I would say if you do the hand size, arm length, everything at the Shrine or the Senior Bowl, you don't have to do it at the Combine. That's another thing as well. I mean, these guys that go down to Mobile, they go to Las Vegas, they get all those measurements taken, then they have to do it again, right?
And
No,
it's funny when their hand size grows. It's like, what? What have
it
you
was
been
the
doing?
it was the Kenny Pickett thing last year. Remember, supposedly he was doing
Uh-huh.
exercises.
Right. Do your exercises. Mace, get your rest. You got one more day down there. And then, of course, the game and all that. We'll do a little game preview tomorrow. How about that? A little Super Bowl
Love it.
preview, a little Broncos news. Maybe we'll have more people taking selfies with Sean Payton. So you never know what's going to happen here on Orange and Blue today. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on Twitter at Mace Denver. I am at Cecil Lammey. Until next time, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. Stay tuned, and as always, stay frosty.